So if I'd flopped a Broadway draw instead of dust on that one hand, and if I'd flopped the nut flush draw instead of air on that other hand, I'd have had a ton of equity in those two pots. At least 500. Why couldn't I just have what I was supposed to have? That was a flashback of one of the many ways I used to torture myself in the car on the way home. I was really fond of beating myself up over mistakes, and so I had all the different kinds worked out. And this was one of the ones where it was like I would leak, I'd play some hand before the flop that was just a little bit off of what I should have played. And then the poker gods would torture me by giving me a flop that would have hit the hand I was supposed to have. And I'd be just like, oh man, especially if I was on the button or if I would have flopped a big draw. And it was just one form of pain that I used really as a way to advance. I didn't think of it at the time as conscious advancement, but it did. It had the effect of training me sort of like livestock gets trained to not walk up against an electrified fence. I eventually got trained to avoid this form of pain by throwing away those hands that I would normally fold without thinking about it. But even in those leaky moments, I would go ahead and fold them because I didn't want to experience this pain again. Here are two examples of what I'm talking about. Hand 1. The blinds are 5-10. The stacks are 2,000 each. Under the gun opens for 40. His range is typical for a smart player. Two players call the 40. Both of them are soft spots. I have ace-9 offsuit on the button, and I call. The flop is king-queen deuce, rainbow. It goes check, check, check to me. Why can't I have what I'm supposed to have here? Why can't I have ace-10? That's the worst offsuit ace-high hand I should see the flop with in this spot, according to me in my game. But for some reason, I chose right now to leak. I know what to do, and then I don't do it. With ace-10 in this spot, I can strike gold. The pre-flop investment was worth it, precisely because situations like this one are possible. When I check behind on the flop, the universe is laying me infinite odds. Not only can I turn the nuts, I'll also be last to act on the turn and river. With ace-9, it's an empty existence with no future. Why? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Hand 2. The first two players fold, middle position opens, the cutoff calls, the small blind calls. I have the ace of hearts and the 5 of clubs in the big blind. I call. The flop comes king-queen deuce with 2 hearts. I check, the opener bets, both the others fold, and I fold, mad as hell. Why couldn't I have what I was supposed to have? According to my rules, I'm supposed to fold with ace-5 offsuit in this spot, but with ace-5 suited, I either call or raise. I'm supposed to have the 5 of hearts in my hand, not the 5 of clubs. I'm supposed to have the nut flush draw. I'd be hugely plus EV by calling the flop, or even check raising if I thought my fold equity was high enough. With the heart 5, I have a monster. Without it, I got squat. What if I always had what I think I should have? What would my bankroll look like then? I used this question and this logic over and over for years to make myself feel as bad as I could. Basically, I was using shame and blame and self-contempt as survival tools. At the least, I had to minimize my leaking if I was going to survive, and if I could eliminate it, I would thrive. Eventually, I did stop asking myself that painful question, but only because I stopped straying into stray ranges. So now I'm just as smart as a cow that doesn't walk into an electric fence. The moral of the story is, torture works.